You know, it's so many different stories that I could tell you about the inspiration for all three levels of linking awareness, you know, linking awareness journey, linking awareness adventure, and the third level, linking awareness observer. I could go like really esoteric and say that it's part of my soul purpose and why I incarnated to the earth plane in this lifetime. I could say that I'm very curious. I always wondered, what's the connection with animals and humans and nature and humans and plants and humans and the stars and humans? Why do we all be in this quantum field together, and what's our connection? Maybe those were my thoughts when I was laying at night and watching the stars when I was a child, or when I was in the forest by myself. Maybe those were some of my thoughts when I was very young and I barely remember. And then, you know, as the years went by, I started to get more and more curious, asking more and more questions. But at the same time, like, I knew things sometimes and I didn't know how I knew, and it wasn't something that someone did or someone told me. And then I started noticing I would get information from the trees or the plants or the animals. How is that possible? I remember I was really young and I said to my mom, "Hey, Mom, can I go to Chris's birthday party? He lives down the road." And my mom said, "What makes you think Chris is having a birthday party?" And I said, "Well, his dog told me." And she said, "That's not possible. Dogs don't talk." Well, about a week later, there was a card in the mail, a greeting card, and my mom read it. She says, "Oh, here's a card. You've been invited to Chris's birthday party." And you know, I didn't realize at that time that was one of the many filters that started these belief systems that animals don't talk, but if you get a card in the mail, that's real. And as the years went by, I ended up being attracted to having a dog grooming and cat grooming business, as well as dog training. The more crazy things started happening because the longer I was with the animals, grooming them, and my hands were on them, I started to get information from them while my hands were on them. Now you got to remember, this is about 30 or 35 years ago. Who should I tell that when my hands are on the animals I'm grooming, I'm knowing things about the animal and people in the family or someone in their neighborhood? So I started asking more questions. And then the dogs started saying, "Help us help the humans." Now, I didn't know what they meant by that. And they said, "Our energy field is sponging up frequencies of imbalance in the family, and we're taking on those imbalances. So sometimes we're not feeling well, but if you help us, then the person in the family will get better also." So I started to realize how much the nature and the plants and animals are helping us, and we didn't even know. So my next question is, well, how can I help the animals help the humans? And that's where I was blessed with the body talk system showing up for me. You know, and it didn't take long that I became a senior instructor for the body talk system all over the world for humans and animals, and creating programs to create a communication between humans and animals, and to find a way to teach veterinarians how we could use consciousness-based energy medicine to help the animal kingdom and the human kingdom. And then guess what? I noticed in the body talk system, there was actually something missing. How could the practitioners communicate with the animals that were the clients as well? So I asked more questions. How can I help humans activate all of their subtle senses and communicate with nonverbal sentient beings? So I thought about that one for a long time and asked a lot of questions, until one day I met an elephant named Makumbu in South Africa at Kruger Park. And I actually have a video that you can watch about that story, about how I met this elephant that he called himself Makumbu. So he was very clear: when you get home, you create a course called Linking Awareness Journey, Linking Awareness Adventure, Lincoln Awareness Observer. So when I got home, I did that. Except you know what? I didn't do it by myself. My daughter, Emily, when I got home, said, sit down, Mom. We're going to create this class now. So Emily and I sat down together and simultaneously downloaded the information for the Linking Awareness Guided Journey that is now taught all over the world. So I have to be very honest, it's a pretty short story, and the elephant made me do it. But I have to say that I have to laugh because when Emily was young, everyone called her elephant ears. You know why? Because her psychic senses or her subtle senses were so turned on as a young girl. She could see through walls and know what you were doing. She could manifest things out of nothing. She could use her intuition, and she could see through people's false identities and masks and know who they truly are. So we used to joke by calling her elephant ears. She knows everything that's going on. And I have to say, when you have kids like my son Mason and my daughter Emily, who are extremely intuitive and have strong, subtle senses, gives you a lot of questions about reality. And why are we not teaching this in the schools for our children? I was thinking to tell a story about the lions at the zoo and how animals connect with each other and help us, even if they're not living in the same place in the world. I was doing a presentation at a zoo for all of the employees. And before the presentation, I went to visit the lions there, and there was a female lion there. And she told me she's connected to the white lions of Timbavati in South Africa. And she said, you know, we're very connected to the Sirian star system, the planet Sirius A, B, and C. And when you get to South Africa, there will be a lion waiting for you. And you must also meet Linda Tucker and go visit the white lions with Linda Tucker. Well, I didn't know how I was going to meet those people and lions. On the day that I met the elephant Makumbu, when I got to the gates of Kruger Park, there was a few elephants waiting for me, and they said, go meet Makumbu and he'll tell you where to go. And as we were journeying through Kruger Park, the elephant said, go to the red rock. There's a lion waiting for you. And if you ever watch my video, you'll see this lion was waiting. She was waiting for me at the top of the red rock. And one of her messages to me was, when you're ready, you will meet Linda Tucker and you will go meet the white lions. And I think it was the next year that I was doing a class at Adam's Calendar in South Africa. And then I was so surprised that Linda Tucker invited me to a ceremony in private at Adam's Calendar, and then invited me to come up and meet the white lions in Timbavati. And I think that some of the short story is the animals have always led me and taught me. And at the same time, they raise my awareness and my consciousness so that I can facilitate. So it's something they do with you when you're this close with them that changes you. You know, it's like the different animal consciousness activates you to different levels of conscious awareness. Every single linking awareness journey I facilitate, the animals teach me more every single time. And the more I open my awareness, the more I see of what they're really doing. So as a facilitator, my perceptions are very different now than they were 20 years ago with the animal kingdom. So these courses that started looking like they were about animal communication, helping the animals, I think now that animal kingdom and nature are the facilitators and I'm helping them. Because we start to notice as we use our subtle senses, I believe is the primary language of frequency of light and information. So first there's a transference of energy information, and then we might see information through the eyes. Then there might be a voice or a sound, and then you'll see a physical action quite often. So, you know, in the past, we all got taught to read body language. Well, I think body language is the validator of the nonverbal. So now when the animals co-facilitate with us, when we receive nonverbal information, then we notice that the animal, when the information is correct, the animal will do a physical sign of release or rolling or doing something, because it's like they're validating the receiving of the nonverbal information. So very often, you know, I'll maybe ask the tiger, are you saying that you don't like staying in that part of the jungle? And then the tiger just looks at me. And then I say to the tiger, are you telling me that you're worried about another tiger in the jungle? You might then see the tiger go. That's what I mean. And that's a release of the unknown nonverbal information that the body language then validates for us. So when we recognize this, we start to realize that the animals are co-facilitating, helping us to remember our nonverbal language. So maybe instead of calling it animal communication, we should call it human communication. Animals and nature helping humans remember how to connect and communicate nonverbally. And what a great thing to remember, because an in utero baby is nonverbal. A child before they speak is nonverbal.